Experience Karen Hunter
in a completely different way.
Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're going to love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of The Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is Awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed. It's not just that pressure makes a diamond, but it also makes you know what you can withstand. You know, those of you, anybody that's survived hurricanes or fires, as we just saw in California, you know, life be lifing. Things are going to happen around you. Somebody's going to pass away. They're going to make transition. That's unexpected. You know, you're going to get a diagnosis. We talked with Vanessa Bell Calloway yesterday that you're not expecting. And either that thing's going to take you out or you're going to put that thing in a headlock and ride it to another level of yourself. And at each time, I was watching a movie today about an immigrant family. I'm going to talk about it maybe on Friday. At each turn, you get to build another layer of something that then will, when the next thing comes, you're like, oh, that's nothing. That's all you got? Okay. Oh, wait, this thing just put me on my ass again. All right. Okay. So the next thing you're like ready. Or it breaks you. And even broken things sometimes can mend stronger than before. But the goal is to not break. The goal is to bend and come back, snap back. And listening to her yesterday and reading her book, I was like, yes. So it put me in the crates. You know, some of y'all are DJs. I went to the crates to look up the Black Panther Party because it started with food. You know, we know them as brothers in the streets with the guns, you know, looking over the neighborhood and the community so that the pigs, that's what they called them back then, don't come in and bust heads indiscriminately without any check. You're not just coming in our neighborhood with the nonsense. We are here watching, and we also are armed. Not because we want any trouble, but what you're not going to do is just come in and think you're just going to come in. But that's what people focus on. But the thing that got the folk killed and jailed were the programs. And that's profound. If you think about how profound it is that folk who just were feeding and educating and providing medical services to their community, they were the threat. Think about that. Like, sit with that for a second. Why is it threatening for people? You call folk blights on society, parasites. We're hearing language now, which is on purpose. You got to demonize folk. You got to demonize. But we've been demonized since we got here. So, and I say we, those of us who are descendants of people who came in the hulls of ships to build a thing with skills, then at the same time demonized, then at the same time not even able to use the skills because dumb people told people who knew what to do the wrong way. And if you challenge dumb people, they beat you or kill you or maim you or do things that make the next generation know not to question dumbness. And here we are, not questioning dumbness. And we are, as a nation, one of the dumbest. I don't want to be part of that. So a group of people said, hey, okay, we don't have resources. There were no social programs. That New Deal didn't apply. Thanks, FDR, for nothing, literally nothing. But they had a but clause in the New Deal that excluded Black folk. People don't talk about that. But we're talking about it. It's Black history all damn day, every day, 365. So instead of complaining about the man not providing, the Black Panther Party in 1969 started a breakfast program. Started with breakfast because babies got to go to school with a full belly. So the program was implemented in 36 cities across the country. Then I went to the History Channel, thehistory.com, and I'm just going to read what they said because, again, it's important. Narratives are important. It's important how we not just extract facts, but also how facts are shaped for us. So I'm going to read verbatim what history.com wrote. In 1969, a group of children sat down to a free breakfast before school. On the menu, chocolate milk, eggs, meat, cereal, and fresh oranges. The scene wouldn't be out of place in a school cafeteria these days, but the federal government wasn't providing the food. Instead, breakfast was served thanks to the Black Panther Party. At the time, the militant Black Nationalist Party, and I said, oh, wait a minute, hold up. Why are you classifying them as a militant Black Nationalist Party? Why not American citizens who cared about their children and weren't getting resources? Why? So is militant to say I'm protecting my neighborhood from police brutality? It's militant to feed children, to educate children, to galvanize poor people around the notion that they shouldn't be poor and that they should have rights. That's militant. And Black nationalism, was that what they were really about when they were also bringing the Latin kings and Latin community, the poor whites and all? So was it Black nationalism? Is that the goal? Is that the goal now? Is it Black nationalism? Is it an opposite of white nationalism? No. History.com. You got it wrong. And as a result, I can't trust your history. I'm extract the facts, but I'm going to tell the story. And we should all tell the story. We should all look askance. That's not the word of the day, by the way, but maybe it should be. I'm going to make askance. We should look askance at anything that categorizes something as militant and puts it in a negative, because that's a negative connotation. Let me put askance, ASKANCE or S. Now I got to look it up. And this is important. We got to make sure we spell stuff correctly around here. ASC, askance, yeah, CE. ASKAN as in Nancy, CE, askance, to look suspiciously, the way I looked at Smiz when he came in the studio with just a little beard and no mustache. And I asked him if he was Amish because I was like, I'm not sure about you. Not that anything would be wrong with him being Amish. I just needed to know. All right. So I did look at him with suspicion. I'm looking at you right now, history.com, because who told you it was a militant? Are you cutting and pasting from some place that called them militant? What was militant about this? Oh, is that the best representation of what the Black Panther Party? And again, language is important. So we have to control the narrative and language around a group of people who were oppressed and decided to do something about it. That is a liberator. That is a hero. Those are people who are Americans. Isn't that American? Yes, it is. And it wasn't just about Black nationalism. It was about freedom and power for all. That's what made them really dangerous. Anyway, they go on to say the Black Panther, the militant Black Nationalist Party was vilified in the news media. Yes, because the news media is also complicit and corrupt and complicit in shaping narratives around people who are oppressed and don't have outlets to shape their own narratives like this powerfully. Yes, they made them into these militant people who white people should be scared of because they have guns, Black people with guns. Oh my God. Reagan was like, yes, we have to do something about them. And then I'm going to ride this wave all the way to the presidency because nothing shakes this country more than Black empowerment. That's the fear. Justice, as Dr. Kelly Carter Jackson said, justice is the fear, not violence. They're not afraid of our violence. They're afraid of justice. So they said, history.com, vilified in the news media and feared by those intimidated by its message of Black power and its commitment to ending police brutality. Why would you be intimidated by somebody that wants the police to get the knee up off their necks? Why is that intimidating? Why is that message intimidating? But for students eating breakfast, the Black Panthers' politics were less interesting than the meals they were providing. According to the Sun reporter, the children, many of whom had never eaten breakfast before the Panthers started their program. Damn. Children who had never had breakfast before the Black Panthers, who were not rich. These were children themselves. And I don't think we can imagine a group of people, 20, 21, 19, 22. I don't think we can imagine a group of college freshmen building this kind of infrastructure. I don't think we can imagine that now. They get tired of protesting Gaza. I'm saying something right now. Y'all can at me if you want to, but y'all gave up. Anyway, and y'all the ones that should be out there doing this, by the way. This protesting and this building and the actual work is for the people with the hands and the backs and the knees that can bend without pain. This is for you, people that don't have to dye their hair. This is your time. Stand up, rise up, and if you're sitting in your mama's basement playing video games, shame on you. Anyway, The children, many of whom had never eaten breakfast before the Panthers started their program, think the Panthers are groovy and very nice. These are quotes for them doing this. Yes, in addition to the food program, which gave birth to school lunches all over the country and breakfast programs all over the country, which are going away. And this is why I bring it up. This administration thinks it's something weak to feed children. This is not good. This is a waste of money. The Black Panthers was like, no problem. They're not feeding us. We're going to feed ourselves, because a full belly also helps the mind, and children can go to school and think. We all know that. This is why it was instituted into our public schools. It's going away. They also had a free clothing and shoes program, providing necessary clothing items to those in need. The initiative was alleviated the financial burden on families who couldn't afford basic necessities, so they provided that. They also provided medical services, offering free medical clinics and drug and alcohol awareness programs. The Black Panther Party's healthcare initiatives were groundbreaking. Again, didn't take them that long to do this. We're talking about 19, 20, 21-year-olds in the late 60s, early 1970s, and over a couple of years, developed this. The food program went to 36 cities across the country. So that means somebody in each of these cities had to man it. They had a network. They had medical services, that is groundbreaking today, because we don't have this today. We got urgent cares, not run by us. Not run by people who necessarily even care about us. Not in our community. They're not there. They're not community-led. They're business opportunities. The Black Panthers handled a variety of health-related concerns, including regular checkups, screening, specialized treatment, and public health and wellness education. Shout out to Wellness Wednesday today. They also had education on legal aid. Why? Because the Popo were over-policing. Anytime people, quote the stat that Black people are, disproportionately incarcerated, that's because we're disproportionately policed. I beg you to go to NYU and do a drug sweep. You don't do that, though. You come to the hood. You don't go to the college campuses where you'll find drugs. You will find drugs. You want to crack down on drugs, go to the college campuses. You don't police them. You police us. And guess what? You stop and frisk enough people, you're going to find some people. Like a Khalif Browder, who probably shouldn't be in jail to begin with. So we never talk about how many people are exonerated, but we do here on Urban View. Shout out to Clay Kane, who said he will never run out of enough people to do his award-winning exonerated series that he does right here on Urban View, right before me, noon to 3 Eastern, because there's that many people who have been wrongfully convicted, who are Black, by the way, all races, but mostly Black. So we're mostly incarcerated and mostly exonerated. Come back with that. I found this fascinating. I'm going to spend a lot of time this year on calling for us to revive this. This, and we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do some Saturday schools. A lot of teachers out there, a lot of y'all retired. What am I going to do? A lot of y'all are retired with nothing to do. Vacation, great. But we're going to need some Saturday school programs. We're going to need some Sunday school. There's also, you could do the Lord after the Lord. Let's do reading, writing, arithmetic. Oh, let's do history first. Let's do civics first, and then reading, writing, and arithmetic. By the way, Nubia is going to be kicking off a hystematics class tomorrow with Akil Parker. I'm so excited. Looking forward to it tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. He is going to be starting with history and math, which is important. You got to know why. Why do I need to know arithmetic and multiplication and why do I need to know trigonometry? Why? Well, let's go back to the source. I'm looking forward to that. But we will not be dependent on this government, because the government has already told us. And in many cases, some of y'all, it's too late, but it's never too late to start a thing. And fortunately, again, this thing was already started. They had a whole 10-point plan, but they had more than a 10-point plan. They were implementing. Children, in my estimation, because I'm damn near 60, a 21-year-old, Fred Hampton was killed at 21. He didn't make it to 22. And that man had already caused enough of a problem in this government for them to shoot him in his bed in the middle of the night while he was sleeping with his pregnant partner. That was a problem. Y'all feeding and teaching? You have to go. So we know that that's radical. We know that that is the source that we need to lean in on. And as people are protesting, they are protesting. We just not out there. And I'm okay with us not being out there. As a matter of fact, and it doesn't mean we don't care, but we will not be cannon fodder. We will not be your frontline casualty. This is y'all's fight now. You go ahead. They're out there, but we're not seeing, the police aren't out there. They're not out there with riot gear and tear gas, and they're not out there ready to shoot people. And Kyle Rittenhouse not coming to meet the protesters with bullets. None of that's happening. People are protesting this administration, but guess who's not at the front lines? Us. This is smart. This is good strategy. Sit home. Let's watch. See what happens. See what happens. Matter of fact, I think we have a clip from somebody talking about what we should not do, Smiz. Let's play that.
What's good, y'all? So I want to address something really quickly because one, this is very important, and two, I'm starting to see my people get a little shaky. And I think that what's going on in the world is currently testing everyone's resolve because we're not used to sitting back, but pay attention to this. So over the past few days, I've been seeing a lot of us asking each other, like, are we really going to sit this out? Are we really not going to protest? We're not going to help? You have to answer that question for yourself, but I do want to make you mindful of something. So this is the first time in recent history that Black people as a collective have decided to sit out the fight. This is the first time that we've said we weren't going to protest, we weren't going to join in. And there's still protests taking part all over the country. Have you guys noticed that there's a very big difference in the way these protests are being conducted? I haven't seen anybody laying out bricks or tools that could be used to deface or destruct property. I haven't seen police gas bombing anybody. I haven't seen anybody being put into vans and disappeared and getting arrested for no reason. None of that has been taking place. And it's funny that this isn't taking place because this is the first time that we haven't been out there. So you need to think about that. These are the communities that are trying to gaslight you into helping and trying to make it seem as if it's all going to be us. We already know that. It's always been us. It's always been that way. But they're doing that because they are afraid to throw the first stone, which we've, a few people have said, but they want us to do it. And they want us to do it knowing what our fate will be if we do. And that's the part I want to focus in on. Everybody understands that when we're on the front lines, that's when violence ensues. We have the right to protest just like anybody else. We have the right to peacefully protest, which is what we do. But do you see the stigma that was attached to the Black Lives Matters protest? People were saying that they were violent and people were attacking cops and defacing property. We weren't doing that. They were doing that. All of that was a setup. So now they're sitting around waiting for us to kickstart this thing so that they can start doing the same things to us again, even though they know that we said we weren't putting ourselves on the front lines like that. They still want you to. Now, if you feel like you need to go out there, you feel led to do that, that's on you. I can't tell you what to do or what not to do. I can only speak for myself. I can always speak and advocate from my phone. But like I said, my attention is going toward my people. It's going toward myself, my personal life, and fixing what I can fix and controlling what I can control. But I'm not willing to be so self-sacrificing that I put myself out there when the contrast is so stark. I can see exactly what the differences are between what's taking place now and what's taking place in the past. And I'm not going to be put out there. I'm just not going to do it. Guys, really pay attention to that. These protests are so different. These are the most peaceful protests that I've seen as far as the way that the police and everybody else interacts. Like, we've always been peaceful in our protests, but the way that they're handling these people, nobody's getting treated the way that we normally get treated. But what do you think is going to happen if we put ourselves out there? Pay attention to that, because people are trying to make it seem like it's all about the Latino people getting deported and all that stuff. No, first off, more than just their community is going to be deported. They aren't the only immigrants in the country, but also they already know what happens when Black people are on the front lines, and they really don't care about asking you to do that. Everybody's asking you to sacrifice yourself for them when they wouldn't do the same for you, and they showed us that over and over again. Now, I'm not trying to make us, see people as less than human or tell us that we shouldn't care, shouldn't have empathy. We should, but y'all, we cannot keep interrupting people's lessons, okay?
That's right. Yes. How about that? And it's not even about FAFO. Effing around and finding out. This is about self-preservation at the highest order. And we actually have some work to do. We have some connected dots to continue to connect from all the way back from W.E.B. Du Bois's vision, the 100-year plan, to the Black Panther Party's vision. We have some dots to connect. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? We have some dots to connect. What Malcolm was talking about that got him shot at the Audubon, and just think about, he was at the Audubon Theater in Harlem. He wasn't at Madison Square Garden, which means we want a whole lot of people. Everybody wants to big up Malcolm. Very few people were there. His head was in the hands of Yuri Nakamoto, the Japanese civil rights activist. His wife was in the front seat with the daughter. Like, it was a handful of people at the Audubon. If you've ever been to the Audubon, and I do think you should check it out, we're not talking thousands of people, which means his popularity, people knew he was going to be speaking there. Folk weren't that into what he was doing. And I get it. We got lives or whatever. But everybody now evokes these people's names that folk weren't following. King died with a disapproval rating of 68%. Black people were not rocking with him when he took that bullet on the balcony of Lorraine Motel. Now everybody's, there's statues and monuments. But at the time, everybody was marching with him. No, you weren't. You were at home saying, I wish this nigga would sit down because white people riled up and they making my life difficult. And he's making it worse out here talking about I am a man and all. Let lead the white people be because they scary. Scared. Most of us were back then. But now we can, while they out there protesting, let's pick up the baton and pick up the torches that were scattered around and light them, and let's throw ourselves into the future and make sure our children, all of them, have a landing space and a place to grow.
Introducing a new podcast. Karen Hunter is awesome.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're going to love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of The Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. So check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.
Karen Hunter is awesome. A new podcast from Karen Hunter.